Bonjour et merci, vous pouvez rejoindre nous pour la séance de la PNQ. À mes côtés, Jack Paul, bonjour.
Bonjour Priscilla, auditeurs et internautes, bonjour également.
Alors, deuxième PNQ de Shakil Mohamed à l'Assemblée nationale ce matin, axée l'urban inondation qui finit et a lieu le 15 et le 15 janvier et le 21 avril dernier. Shakil Mohamed qui questionne ministre infrastructure nationale Bobby Riram. Les oulés connaissent le nombre de projets de drain, quand fin commencer, quand fin compléter, the coup, nom de ban entrepreneurs engagés dans ce ban projet-là, entre autres. Les oulés aussi gagnent ban détail, le ban projet qui peut faire à Ruisseau du Pouce, Canal d'Ayotte, la rue Monseigneur-Ly, la Butte et à Les Salines. Et aussi gagnent ban précision, le ban travaux à la place d'Orme au Codan. Shakil Mohamed oulé aussi connaît ban mesure qui ban autorité prend pour minimiser l'impact de cette inondation-là. Et aussi, il y a envie de connaître si vous avez un complaint desk pour fast track, donc pour accélérer compensation à ban victime. Une question, Jagdish, qui fait face après que la case de Ramsahai finit cédée dans Trangbor, suivant ban inondation de dimanche. La case qui est située non loin de Ruisseau du Pouce, que tu peux faire ban travaux. Et donc un drame évité de justesse que tu es capable de modem. Plusieurs politiciens finissent sur place, y compris le ministre Bobby Riram lui-même hier pour faire un constat de visu. Et le ministre Bobby Riram annonce qu'il y a une enquête en cours et qu'il y a une faute pour bien payer une conséquence. C'est deuxième inondation Jagdish en 3 mois. À qui la faute? Est-ce que c'est uniquement changement climatique ou est-ce qu'il y a un manquement au niveau de l'infrastructure? En tout cas, dernier rapport, l'audit Jagdish fait état de un important retard dans construction de drain. L'eau 968 projets prévus par National Development Unit, travaux fin faire l'eau 34 sites seulement, soit seulement 4%, pour un coût total de 457 millions de roupies, alors qu'il y a une somme de 14,8 milliards de roupies finale pour ce projet-là, Jagdish.
Oui, certainement, Priscilla, c'est une question de Shakil Mohamed qui peut cibler surtout la région pour lui et comment dire, qui finit affectée en 2 fois cette année par de graves inondations, 15 janvier, 21 avril. Alors, dans ce private notice question, il mentionne Ruisseau du Pouce, qui sortit depuis Montagne Pouce, c'est la région de Vallée-Pito qui est concernée. Monseigneur-Line, c'est Reine de la Paix, Ward 4. Donc, Canal d'Ayotte, c'est Grande Rivière Nord-Ouest, La Butte, Les Salines et Cassis. Donc, c'est surtout dans cette région-là qu'après les événements du 15 janvier, finalement, un projet, comme on peut dire, qui commence à se préparer et surtout pour construction de drains, réhabilitation l'endroit qui côté na obstruction de l'eau. Et le rapport de l'audit, oui, inquiet la gestion efficace de construction de drains, l'argent peut dépenser et ce qui ça et investissement-là, l'IPCRV dans une bonne direction. Et là, nous avons remarqué que dans différents budgets et différents gouvernements, finalement, un gros projet annoncé d'investissement. En 2021-2022, 1500 projets de drains annoncés pour une valeur de 11,7 milliards de roupies. Dans le budget 2022-2023, 3,8 milliards de roupies pour dans 20 régions qui finissent identifiées. Nettoyage drains sophistiqués, également donc pour faire face à la situation de changement de climat. Alors là, nous pointons surtout que Maurice a environ 300 zones exposées à inondation et 67 qui au risque. Et d'après l'End Drainage Authority, mais nous avons besoin de constater que beaucoup de pays peuvent faire face à une grave situation de
changement climatique,
de changement climat, de flash flood. Dubaï, par exemple, il a enregistré 2 ans la pluie en 2 jours, en 48 heures. En Chine, là, hier et avant-hier, dans le sud de Guangzhou, fini la grave inondation. Au Kenya, quelqu'un a dit à nous, ce matin, fini là au moins une 30aine de morts. Voilà donc le monde comment exposé au changement climat et contre qui, malgré tout ban gros projet, il peut être très difficile pour contrôle évacuation de l'eau.
Et sinon, Jagdish, 6 questions adressées à Pravin Jagnat lors de la Prime Minister's Question Time. Et il y a aussi 30 questions qui sont réservées à ban ministre, donc à l'ordre du jour. Développement infrastructurel à Galega, nombre de cas de meurtre dans le pays, nombre de patients dialysés qui finissent décédés, donc qui pour retenir l'attention. Également à l'agenda, French Speaking Union et Environment Bill. Et une motion, leader de l'opposition également au programme, Shakil Mohamed Jagdish, qui peut demander à ce qu'ils mettent de côté le National Identity Card Regulations de 2024.
Oui, c'est le grand débat concernant le National Identity Card et également le SIM Card qui peut dominer l'actualité. Et là, nous pouvons besoin attendre à une réponse qui le ministre pour donner et surtout concernant le Premier ministre, il faut gagner l'occasion de répondre à une ou deux questions au Parlement et peut-être la séance pour ici là rapidement pour marquer par une déclaration du Speaker concernant une expulsion qui s'est faite la semaine dernière. Il y a 6 expulsions dans rang de l'opposition et député Eshan Juman Ndjumanli présente excuse parce qu'il a servi mot comme Ahmad et Sikh. Et Eshan Juman dit s'il n'est pas présente excuse, donc est-ce qu'il s'est mot là pour tolérer au Parlement à l'avenir.
Parliamentary ou unparliamentary.
Exactement.
À noter aussi l'absence donc de Paul Béranger, de Rajesh Bhagwan et de Johanna Béranger, suspendus pour plusieurs séances. Nous prenons tout de suite la direction de l'Assemblée nationale.
Announcements.
Honourable members, I have a few announcements to make. Firstly, in regard to the Parliamentary Committee set up for the monitoring of the Financial Crimes Commission, pursuant to Section 129(2) and 3 of the Financial Crimes Commission Act, the Honourable Prime Minister has, on 15 April 2024, designated the following honourable members to serve on the Parliamentary Committee. Honourable Marie-Joanne Sabrina Tour, Deputy Chief Government Whip. Honourable Nanprakash Ramcharan, PPS. Honourable Marie-Alexandra Tiana Diol, PPS. And Honourable Ashley Itu. Furthermore, I have to inform the House that the Honourable Prime Minister has designated Honourable Mohammed Salim Abbas Mahmoud as chairperson of the said committee. Honourable members, in regard to members of the opposition side, once the Honourable Leader of the Opposition designates members of the opposition to serve on the committee, I shall make the appropriate announcement. Thank you. Honourable members, the sitting reference is made to the sitting of Tuesday, 23rd April 2024. The Honourable Bhagwan is reported to have stated in l'Express newspaper of Wednesday, 17th April 2024, in regard to the new seating arrangement, I quote, a été fait exprès par le Speaker et une fonctionnaire pour embarrasser l'opposition. I wish to set records straight and refer honourable members to Standing Order 6 of the Standing Orders, which expressly provides as follows. The allocation to members of seats in the Assembly chamber shall be made by the Speaker. Clear. I totally assume my responsibility in accordance with the aforementioned provision. The dragging of a civil servant in this matter is most regretful, inappropriate, and unjust. Honourable members, furthermore, regarding the seating arrangement, reference has also been made in the press to the practice which obtains in the House of Commons. I reiterate that the allocation of seats is expressly provided for in the Standing Order 6 of our Standing Orders. In the light of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 1, since allocation of seats is expressly provided for in our Standing Orders, it does not serve any purpose to refer to the practice which obtains in the UK House of Commons. I thank you for your attention. I have a third announcement. I also have to inform the House that I have received a letter from the Honourable Juman requesting me to tender apologies. Surprisingly, the letter, though addressed to me in person, found its way in the press, which in itself is improper. Honourable members, I wish to inform the House. As a Speaker, I am accountable to the House and not to third parties acting on behalf of their colleagues. Concerning the incident of last Tuesday, it is on record that both the Honourable Béranger and Honourable Bagwan uttered insulting words such as sauvage, bachara, voleur, suceur in Parliament, which is the source of the said incident we are referring. When asked whether they were prepared to withdraw and apologize, they categorically refused. In that respect, I find that such attitude from two senior members most regretful. I would have readily tendered my apologies had the honourable members done so. And in fact, one day I can review all the records and state in an announcement to this House on how many occasions honourable members have refused to tender apologies and have refused to withdraw unbecoming words and accusations against the Speaker. I thank you for your attention.
Papers have been laid. Questions?
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I have given notice to the Honourable Minister of National Infrastructure and Community Development of a question, and the question is as follows. Whether in regard to the flooding of the 15th of January and 21st of April 2024, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Land Drainage Authority information as to the number of drains projects implemented and completed, including the Atruisseau du Pouce, Monseigneur Line, Canal d'Ayo, La Butte, and Les Salines, an additional outlet from Place d'Armes to Codan, indicating the cost, name of the contractors, and starting and completion dates thereof. B, state the measures taken by government to mitigate the impact thereof. And C, state if consideration will be given for a dedicated complaints desk to be put in place for the fast tracking of compensation to be paid to all victims.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish at the very first instance to express my sympathy and solidarity and that of the government to all the families affected by the flooding of the 21st April 2024. The House will appreciate that the question of the Leader of the Opposition is quite broad, and for the benefit of the House and in the interest of the population, it requires a comprehensive and detailed reply, so please bear with me. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a fact that with climate change, we are witnessing extreme weather conditions across the world.
My good friend, the Honourable Minister, has stated that he has to be comprehensive. I totally agree. But the standing orders say that you, Mr. Speaker, have control not on the contents of the question, the answer, but you have control over relevance. That is in our standing orders. So I would like you, Mr. Speaker, to pay very much attention to what is being said.
I disregard your point of order. You're giving me order. You are giving me, you say, I would like you to pay much attention. Stop there, you continue. There is no request in point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I rule, I have already ruled.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As said again, I'll start this paragraph again. It is a fact that with climate change, we are witnessing extreme weather conditions across the world. Not far back as last week, Dubai, Oman, Pakistan, and the Republic of China, which is this morning, I've learned it as est passé en alerte rouge, among others, have been severely hit by heavy rainfall, which caused unprecedented flooding, and in some cases, even leading to casualties. Mauritius, being one of the vulnerable small island states, has unfortunately not been spared. The highest rainfalls recorded, as per the Mauritius Meteorological Services, on 15 January 2024 and 21st April 2024 are as follows. 15 January, Albion, 133.4 millimeters. Beaubassin, 140. Belle Village, 107. Chitrakoot, 143. Moka, 150. Nouvelle Découverte, 156. Providence, 174. Quatre-Bonnes, 164. Port-Louis, Champ-de-Mars, 123. Rivière-Noire, 78. On the 21st April 2024, Albion recorded 302. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a record level of rainfall intensity in the region of Albion. Domaine-les-Pailles, 232. Champ-de-Mars, 194. Beaubassin, 190. Belle Village, 183. Moka, 165. Chitrakoot, 163. Port-Louis, 162. Nouvelle Découverte, 119. Richter, 103. Quatre-Bonnes, 102. Mr. Speaker, sir, the main regions impacted in January 2024 were Codan, La Bourdonnais Street, Paille, Trengba, Vallée-Piteux, Canal d'Ayo, Place d'Armes, La Chaussée Street, La Poudrière Street, Motorway M1, City Center, Mont-Saint-Yaline, Vallée des Prêtres, and Le Cornu, Sainte-Croix. Whereas on the 21st April 2024, the main regions impacted were Port-Louis, Trengba, Carolalo, Vallée des Prêtres, Pointe-aux-Sables, Richelieu, Canal d'Ayo, Albion, Geffroy-Bambou, Meldrum-Beaubassin, Coromandel, and Belle Village, among others. Mr. Speaker, sir, on several occasions, I have stated in this August Assembly itself that government has taken bold initiatives to provide an unprecedented budget of 11.7 billion for the implementation of the National Flood Management Program, which has been prepared during the elaboration of the Land Drainage Master Plan. With regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed that as at 31st March 2024, under the National Flood Management Program, on a total of 1,742. And here, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to highlight that during the preparation of the Land Drainage Master Plan in July 2021, we identified 1,400 projects. And now, it has become 1,742, which means we are here dealing with a very dynamic situation. And these 1,742 projects are deemed to be implemented over a period of 5 financial years. 539 projects to the tune of 3.8 billion have been completed as a date. Some 114 projects for a total amount of 3.3 billion are ongoing. That is their work on site. And are at different stage of construction. Moreover, 150 drain projects for an estimated amount of 2.8 billion are at bidding stage. If we want un ordre de grandeur, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the year 205 to 2014, there was only 3.8 billion rupees were spent. That is, this government has spent in 3 years what they took 10 years to execute. It is to be noted that 737 million under the NFMP was disbursed for the financial year 21-22 and 1.6 billion for the financial year 22-23 and 1.5 billion for the financial year 23-24. The Land Drainage Authority has identified so far 306 flood-prone areas, of which 62 have been declared high-risk flood-prone. 20 projects in those high-risk flood-prone have been completed. 13 are under construction, and another 10 are at bidding stage. The implementation of the National Flood Management Program falls under 4 bodies, namely the Drain Infrastructure Construction Limited, the National Development Unit, the Road Development Authority, and the local authorities is spearheaded by the Land Drainage Authority. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to emphasize that climate adaptation is not a one-off undertaking for this government or any other government for that purpose, but it is a long-term planning and implementation of various programs. In this respect, I wish to reiterate that my ministry has already implemented 539 road projects and not 34 projects or any other number which is being misreported. In fact, for financial year 22-23, 34 new drain projects were awarded for implementation by NDU only. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that Port Louis is bordered, as we know, by the mountain range upstream and is in fact a trough, that is a cuvette by nature of its topography, and downstream it is bordered by the sea. Accordingly, the discharge of surface runoff is highly dependent on the tidal level. In event of a concurrent scenario of a torrential rain and storm surge, the evacuation of floodwaters is inhibited due to the fact of tidal locking. This causes a rapid rise in the water level in the low points, namely La Poudrière Street, Codan, and La Chaussée Street. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the possible scenarios for flood mitigation measures have been investigated, and the following structural measures have been recommended to mitigate the flooding in the city center of Port Louis. Ruisseau du Pouce, raising of existing bank walls varying from 0.5 meters to 3 meters at different locations. Reconstruction of several bridges across Ruisseau du Pouce, including Gayasing Bridge and 2 bridges in Codan premises. Demolition of Baden-Powell Bridge. Demolition of the cover slab on Ruisseau du Pouce from Majestic Cinema to La Chaussée Street, the Hawkers area. Relocation of services hindering flow along Ruisseau du Pouce. Demolition of the existing slab covering Ruisseau du Pouce. Making good and reinstate the existing canal, including the bedding, jointing, etc. Monseigneur-Line, La Butte, and Les Salines. Second, construction of RC-covered drain along Monseigneur-Line over a stretch of approximately 860 meters. Construction of RC-covered drain along Old Moka Road over a stretch of approximately 535 meters. Construction of RC-covered drain along Paul Fercy Adèle Street. Construction of RC-covered drain along A1 Road over a stretch of approximately 875 meters. Upgrading of open drain adjacent to court building across Menagerie Road up to existing drain along motorway M1 to an RC canal of dimension 1 meter wide and 1 meter deep. Construction of RC covered drain varying from 500 to 1,500 millimeters wide by 500 to 1,200 millimeters deep in the region of Les Salines. Construction of RC covered drain at Codan roundabout up to the sea outlet. And thirdly, Canal d'Ailleux, reconstruction of Roussel Bridge, raising of wall on both banks at Canal d'Ailloux, desilting of the Canal d'Ailloux itself, extension of an internal drains and installation of flap valve at the outlet to prevent backflows. Place d'Orme to Codin, fourth. Construction of an additional outlet drain of 55 meters and size 2,000 millimeter by 600 millimeter across Port-Louis waterfront. Construction of a new flap valve and relocation of services. Reinstatement works to enable the placing of a high-volume submersible pump to allow the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services to evacuate water in extreme conditions. Moreover, for Codin, in the context of the metro project, 2 drain projects of size 2 meter by 1 meter and over a stretch of 120 meters have already been implemented. Mr. Speaker, sir, the impact of flooding noted on the 21st April 2024 was much lesser as compared to the flooding event of 30 March 2013 at Codin. In 2013, along motorway M1, a flood mark of 90 millimeters was recorded, causing several vehicles to be trapped and also causing loss of life. Whereas in 21st April 2024, a flood mark of around 20 centimeters was recorded for a higher rain intensity. These outcomes be a testimony that all our efforts geared towards mitigating flooding in the region of Port-Louis have been effective. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to part A1, 2 and 3 of the question, the Honourable Member will appreciate that the information sought in respect of the list of contractors involved in each of the 539 completed projects with the cost of each project as well as the starting and completion date is quite voluminous and is time-consuming exercise. I will accordingly table the required information as a later stage as this is being compiled. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to part B of the question, this government is sparing no effort to implement any technically feasible measures to mitigate flooding problems in Mauritius. It is for the first time ever that a government has commissioned a land drainage master plan for Mauritius, and again, it is this government that has provided such an unprecedented budget to implement the National Flood Management Program. The problem of flooding is being looked into a scientific and holistic manner as opposed to a piecemeal and localized approach. The world is facing dramatic changes of climate change where each and every year records in terms of temperature and torrential rain are being registered. Accordingly, full avoidance of flooding is not feasible. It is greatly related to climate-related impacts. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have to stress that strategically it is incorrect to talk about avoidance, but rather mitigation as it is the case worldwide. I wish to reiterate that there is no dry feet policy to combat flooding events. No government can eliminate the impact or the risk of flooding and climate change. We can only implement mitigating measures and protect lives of our citizens. And this is what we have been doing with the 539 projects. As a proactive measure, the LDA has been nominated in the following committees: the Land Conversion Committee, the Mo-Selma Board, the EIA Committee. The LDA also advises the local authorities in the processing of BLUPs. All future developments are being examined in respect of the land use planning, and appropriate recommendations are issued accordingly. Mr. Speaker, sir, much has also been said about the number of projects so far implemented, which is deemed to be a slow progress. But Mr. Speaker, sir, dealing with flooding is not like having, to borrow the word of my GM of the RDA, it's not a set of question papers where you have 10 questions and you tick them all and then you are done. Here, we are into mitigation. It's a fight against climate change. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have to point out that the challenges encountered in the implementation of projects, namely issues related to land acquisition, unsuccessful bidding exercise, and way leaves have resulted in unpredictable delays. However, despite these constraints, my ministry, and in particular the LDA, are sparing no effort to achieve the desired outcome in building resilience to flooding problems. Furthermore, it is noteworthy that the design parameters are reviewed by the LDA on a regular basis to adapt to the dynamic of climate change. Innovative measures are thus being introduced and implemented, such as detention basins, sustainable urban drainage system, and major cut-off swales. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that despite all constraints I have enumerated so far, I'm satisfied that the projects completed by the implementing agencies, that is the NDU, the RDA, the DICL, and the local authorities, have given the desired outcomes. For instance, in the recent past, the region of Saint-Jean was adversely impacted during heavy rainfall, and this was subject to a PNQ in November last. In fact, my ministry has implemented measures in a very short span of time, which have proven to be effective. In spite of 102 millimeters of rainfall recorded on the 21st April 2024 in the region of Quatre-Bornes, both the Saint-Jean Cemetery and the inhabitant downstream along Colville and Broad Avenues have been protected against inundation. Certainly, road users have not forgotten
Honourable Minister, don't refer to Quatre-Bornes. I think this question refers to Port Louis area.
It includes.
Continue with that.
Mr. Speaker, sir, but the question also asks me specific answers about Port Louis, but illustrates a very general one. Let's talk about. Mr. Speaker, sir, certain road users have not forgotten their calvaire due to the flooded bridges at Anjoncé, Tatamaka, Saint-Denis, Chamarel, Soisy Bridge, at Poste de Flac, to mention a few. In addition, the following projects are either ongoing or in the pipeline by the RDA, namely Roussel Bridge at Canal d'Aïeux, Brunecal Bridge, Culvert on motorway M1 near Food Canners, and STR Marketing, Four-Pied Bridge, Pamplemousse, additional outlets at Codan, among others. Mr. Speaker, sir, major retention basins have been constructed to contain substantial overland flow, and this was done a bit all over the island. Mr. Speaker, sir, several residential flood-prone areas are located downstream of major agricultural land and mountain slopes. Conventional drainage infrastructure will not be able to contain the flooding problems. To that effect, major cut-off swales have been designed and being implemented in several localities across the island once again. Mr. Speaker, sir, slopes and embankment along our roads are other features which are severely impacted by floods, and this may endanger the lives and livelihood of our citizens and the road users. We have not ignored this aspect, and constantly we are implementing measures to stabilize the slopes. To mention a few, the recent work which have been successfully completed and which have stood the test of recent floods are landslide at Chamarel, at Rivière-des-Créoles, Baclaz-Suyac. There has also been rock purging at Makonde. In addition, similar works at Rivière-des-Anguilles and Chamarel are ongoing. Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I will now elaborate on measures initiated in the region which have been impacted during the rainfall of Sunday last and which I have mentioned earlier. These include drain works at Raoul Rivette Street and Lord Kitchener, raising of wall along Rousseau du Pouce, construction of bridges at Mayor Barthélemy and Labrillan Street, demolition of slab and other structures, raising of walls along Rousseau du Pouce, Créole, upgrading of work along La Poudrière Street, raising of the wall at Canal d'Ailleux, drain works at Cité Mauvillac and Sorèze, upgrading of drains at Mamelon-Vert, Vallée-Piteux, extension of drain along Inkermanny Street, Vallée-Piteux.
Is it a point of order you're raising? You have to ask me. You have to intimate. Please listen to me first. Please listen to me first. You have to intimate your question, your point of order. I should know that it is a point of order. You cannot, like in a discussion, in a speech or whatever, in a reply, just stand up or shout and. This is not parliamentary. This is not parliamentary behavior, honourable leader of the opposition. Try to be polite. That's all.
Mr. Speaker, could you please try to take into consideration?
No, you can't do that. You must say this is a point of order. I listen to your point of order. You can't engage a conversation with the speaker. You can't do that. You're a seasoned lawyer. Quiet here. You are a seasoned lawyer. You should know how to address the speaker.
May I raise a point of order, therefore?
Please.
Could you please, therefore, on the point of order, he has taken more than 23 minutes out of 30. Could you please...
This is not a point of order. This is my jurisdiction. You're questioning my jurisdiction. No. You keep quiet. Let the minister continue. The minister continue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, beside structural work I've mentioned so far, cleaning and desilting our watercourse have also been undertaken to mitigate inundation due to riverine flooding. And so far, we have desilted 160 kilometers of rivers, which involve Ruisseau du Pouce, Latanier, Rivulet Terrouge, and many others. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to part C of the question, as the honourable member is aware, the issue of compensation of victims of flooding does not fall under the purview of my ministry. This concerns other authorities, and I'm informed that there are well-established procedures for payment of compensation. For instance, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that as at 9 a.m. this morning, 735 persons have requested for assistance for compensation. However, I wish to highlight that irrespective of the compensation payable to affected families and depending on the nature and the severity of each case, appropriate additional support is provided to these persons. For example, in the case of affected person at Tembo, the Honourable Prime Minister himself had a meeting, met the families yesterday, and necessary measures are being undertaken to provide appropriate support and relief to them. There couldn't be any faster track than this, than being received by the Prime Minister himself. And here, I wish to assure the House that every possible measure will be undertaken in consultation with these families. On a concluding note, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are at war with the challenges of climate change, and we should all rally behind the Prime Minister and the government to win this war. And there is no space for cheap political gain or voters trying to use those families for their political gain. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, he has taken 26 minutes. I hope that you will exercise your discretion to give me some more time to put 5 important questions of national importance on the issue of flooding.
You cannot quantify your questions. You start by one.
Mr. Speaker, is the Honourable Minister saying that the Director of Audit, in his report, when he says, I quote at page 348, that only 34 drains during the financial year 2022-2023, only 34 drains contracted were awarded for 457 million compared to 84 contracts awarded in the preceding financial year, and that significant funds remain unspent, several projects are not being implemented, and it goes on to say at page 349, out of 72 projects identified in high-risk flood-prone areas, 26 were transferred to DICL and 1 to RDA, no project was transferred to local authorities, and the director goes on to describe how everything is slow in terms of implementation, and he says the slow implementation of projects implies that these projects were not made available to citizens on a timely basis. This thus may cause harm to the population. Is this report of the Director of Audit, where he condemns and says that there's been failure at the level of the Honourable Minister's ministry and departments, is he saying that the Director of Audit is wrong?
Now, don't indulge in any debate. You already put 3 questions. If you don't know, you have put 3 questions. Let the Minister answer.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I've already given all the details of what my ministry has spent over different financial years. And as at date, we have already implemented 539 projects. I don't want to repeat myself. The honourable member may take a point of order. But then, as I've said already, that the only place I see the 34 was 34 new projects. There are also so many other projects ongoing being implemented. And I've already also mentioned about the difficulties that we sometimes have to allocate contract, where there is the wayleave issue, there's the land acquisition issue that takes its own time. Very often we have challenges that we have to defend in court. So we have to deal with all this. And despite all, in the proper procedures are being respected, we follow all required procedures, and projects are being implemented. Regarding projects being allocated to local authorities, this is not my ministry that allocate projects to local authorities. They have their own set of projects. They request funding with the LDA to implement their project. They have their own set of projects. I can't be held liable for what hasn't been done at the level of local authorities.
Mr. Speaker, on the 28th of March 2023, the Honourable Omir, as well as on the 15th of March of this year, Honourable Osman Mohamed, both wrote one to the Honourable Minister, the first one, whereby the issue of Ruisseau du Pouce and the danger represented precisely to those houses, the house that has qui a cédé, those people many houses, because of work going on in Ruisseau du Pouce that is being wrongly done. There was a petition that was also sent to the Honourable Minister back in 2023. And this year, on the 15th of March, Honourable Mohamed wrote an email to the PPS, Honourable Mayotte, whereby both have been both those correspondences, which I beg leave to table, with all the photographs that were sent to you, Honourable Minister, and Honourable PPS, both have been left unattended. Therefore, could you please explain to the House why is it that ever since last year, there has been no supervision whatsoever with regards to those projects that have led to those houses being affected, and the damage and prejudice and criminal negligence against those people is at your footstep, Honourable Minister. Could you please therefore apologize at least to those people?
Please, I stop you there. I stop you there. The Minister hasn't had to apologize. Anything.
Mr. Speaker, sir, firstly, I haven't received any of those letters the Honourable Leader of Opposition is talking about. They may love as much as they want. We have a dispatch book. Whenever letters are received, someone needs to be signed, so we are well recorded. We know we can retrace whatever, and I invite the Leader of the Opposition to come and check for himself the dispatch book of the ministry, firstly. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, whether there have been negligence or not, my ministry has already set up an independent committee that will be led by the engineers of the National Infrastructure Division of the ministry, also by the engineers of the NDA, to investigate on the whole matter. You will agree that this may also involve eventually the insurance of the contractor or that of the consultant. So at this point, I don't think it will be proper for me to comment on this, as it may hinder the inquiry and eventually a procès en cours. So I don't want that eventually whatever I say in Parliament may become part of the case eventually and let the engineers advise accordingly the report. And then if we need to share the report with the Parliament, we will do so.
Mr. Speaker.
Time over. We move to Prime Minister's question time. Honourable members, the table have been advised that PQB 233 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Public Service, Administrative and Institutional Reform.
Et voilà donc pour cette deuxième PNQ de Shakil Mohamed à l'Assemblée nationale. Axée l'auban inondation qui a lieu le 15 janvier et le 21 avril dernier. Shakil Mohamed qui questionne ministre infrastructure nationale Bobby Riram. Les fins où les connaît le nombre de drains. Et quand fin commencer, quand fin compléter, the coup, nom de ban entrepreneur engagé dans ce ban projet là entre autres, les fins où les aussi gagne ban détail, le ban projet qui fin faire à Ruisseau du Pouce, Canal d'Ayotte, rue Monseigneur Line, la Butte et les Salines, et aussi gagne ban précision, le ban travaux à la place d'Orme et au Codan, Shakil Mohamed qui fin aussi envie qu'on ban mesure qui ban autorité fin prend pour minimiser l'impact de cette ban inondation là et aussi si finena donc si pour une complaint desk pour force track donc accélère ban compensation à ban victime. D'abord Bobby Riram fin commence par présente ce ban sympathie à ban famille qui fin affectée par ban inondation. Alors l'idée qui avec le changement climatique les mondes peut faire face. Donc, l'idée qui est difficile pour éviter donc le changement climatique. Donc faire état, les rappels qui Dubaï, Oman et la Chine, donc tout ça, ban pays là, fin faire face à une inondation récemment et Maurice pas épargné. Il fin révine un petit peu le taux de pluviométrie qui fin enregistré le 15 janvier et le 21 avril notamment. Alors, il rappelle le chiffre de 302 mm de pluie à Albion le 21 avril entre autres. Et il fin aussi vin l'endroit qui fin affecté. Alors, en ce qui concerne zone à risque, alors Bobby Riram dit qui donc finena une trentaine de projets qui fin compléter l'eau 67. Alors le nombre de drains, l'IPD qui finena 339 drains qui fin donc compléter pour un coût de 3,3 milliards de roupies et pas 34. Alors il fin expliquer aussi qu'il fait pour lui donc il y a une zone à risque et il fin rappelle aussi qu'il y a une mesure qui fin prend pour minimiser l'impact de ban inondation à Ruisseau du Pouce par exemple. Il dit qu'il y a ban bank walls qui fin faire et finena aussi ban démolition de ban slabs à la Butte, finena construction de ban drain, idem à Canal d'Ayotte. Alors donc Bobby Riram fin aussi dire donc qu'il est difficile pour donc éliminer complètement un changement climatique, il est impossible. Il dit que c'est une situation qui le monde entier peut faire face et selon lui, une mesure qui fin prend jusqu'ici par le gouvernement à Maurice, il est estimé qu'il est satisfait. Et aussi donc Bobby Riram fin cause aux compensations qui Shakil Mohamed a réclamé. Il disait que ça pas concerne ce ministère. Il disait qu'à ce matin, il apprend qu'il y a 735 dimoun qui finissent faire demande d'aide, donc qui finissent faire demande d'assistance. Et il dit en ce qui concerne la situation à Trangbord, donc il dit que Premier ministre finit déjà joindre la famille et qu'il y a une mesure qui peut prendre. Alors il dit qu'il faudrait pas que Shakil Mohamed fait cheap political game. Et Shakil Mohamed pose une question par rapport au rapport de l'audit qui fait état de 34 drains. Donc, qui fin faire.
Alloué à ban contracteur.
Alloué à ban contracteur.
Comparé à 85.
Tout à fait.
qui t'y annoncé.
Merci pour la précision, Jagdish. Alors, Shakil Mohamed peut dire, est-ce qu'il n'a pas fait une faille dans une tâche, mais Bobby Ariram peut dire qu'il a 34 projets là, c'est un nouveau projet. Et le leader de l'opposition, Shakil Mohamed, peut dire, est-ce qu'il autorité pas fin fait ce qu'il appelle pas finena criminal negligence, parce qu'il dit que depuis quelque temps déjà, entre autres, quelques députés de l'opposition, notamment Osman Mohamed, qui fait état de danger qui est là en ce qui concerne le ruisseau du Pouce. Il demande à Bobby Ariram, est-ce qu'il parti bizarre présente excuse. Et donc, Bobby Ariram fait dire qu'il y a une enquête qui est en cours pour situer responsabilité dans cette affaire, Jagdish.
Oui, l'enquête en cours, c'est-à-dire l'enquête qui balan ingénieur du ministère, donc du gouvernement, il entreprend pour que ça assume la responsabilité si il y a une négligence, surtout question concernant Ruisseau du Pouce. Et d'après Shakil Mohamed, il y a même une pétition qui finit signée par un habitant adressé au ministère concerné. Et là, le ministre dit, et dans correspondance qui est non, c'est-à-dire l'aide qui recevoir au ministère, il paraît qu'il n'a aucune demande dans ce sens, mais quand même, l'enquête est en cours. Concernant les 735 demandes d'assistance, et là, le ministre, il a annoncé qu'il ça pour dépanner beaucoup, pour guetter quelle est la nature, la gravité de la situation de sa demandeur d'aide, surtout dans la région de Trangbah. Et le Premier ministre, il prend l'engagement pour venir en aide à une personne concernée, surtout la famille Ramsay qui est directement concernée avec ce lacage, donc est gravement endommagé. Et là, nous constatons, Priscilla, que le ministre fait une comparaison entre inondation du 15 janvier, parce que c'est-à-dire la gravité de la situation et la situation, comment elle était le week-end dernier dans certaines régions. Et d'après le ministre, il y a moins de dégâts cette fois-ci parce que c'est un signe qui ban travaux qui entreprend, donc peut pas de résultats positifs, c'est qui donc peut capable de contrôler et la situation comme elle était. Mais seulement il reconnaît qu'il y a un gros investissement et donc un investissement pour réaliser ce projet-là. Donc, qui s'y dépensé en 2005-2014 sous l'ancien gouvernement. Et là, ici, le gouvernement, il dépense environ 11,7 milliards d'euros avec le Land Drainage Master Plan qui peut mettre en application encore 114 projets fin réalisés pour un montant de 3,8 milliards d'euros. D'après le ministre Riram, pendant les 5 dernières années, il y a un gros travail qui entreprend pour contrôler la situation de flooding, pour qu'il l'impact l'eau la société les diminue. Et quand même, il dit une phrase qui Maurice est en guerre contre le changement climatique. Mauritius is at war, et là, comme on a fait mention, il ne faut pas nous faire petit politique, c'est-à-dire à servir la situation actuelle pour faire la politique, parce que c'est une situation internationale et tout le pays directement concerné par un moyen, une mesure, une disposition qui besoin prend pour la réhabilitation de la région et surtout contrôle et faire évacuer l'eau qui vient et surtout par un flash flood.
Alors, sinon, Jagdish, le speaker fait un point suite à la demande du député Changeman qui fait des manlis présentes sur une excuse à l'égard de Paul Béranger et de Rajesh Bhagwan. Alors, le speaker qui fait dire que la source de cet incident-là, c'est un propos qui fait tenir par Paul Béranger et Rajesh Bhagwan, entre autres.
Propos de Paul Béranger et de Rajesh Bhagwan qui le speaker a qualifié de insulting, insultant à ce égard. Il fait cite Saban Moula. Alors, nous pas pour répéter, c'est la source même de l'incident qui finit passé mardi dernier et qui finit a comme conséquence expulsion et également la suspension des députés, surtout Paul Béranger et Rajesh Bhagwan. Et là, il dit, si les deux députés concernés qui présentent excuses, retirent autres mots au Parlement à ce moment précis de l'incident, les aussi, les partis pour aller dans une direction contre les tipous c'est-à-dire prononce un mot déplacé et les tipous certainement présentent sous excuse.
Alors, autre annonce, c'est concernant le sitting arrangement. Donc, l'IPDIA qui Rajesh Bhagwan fin tenir un propos donc dans la presse, Jagdish.
Oui, dans l'Express, une interview qu'on peut dire que le speaker, il fait
Exprès.
Oui, il fait par exprès, donc un sitting arrangement et qui pas donne satisfaction à l'opposition. Et là, le speaker maintenir ses prérogatives d'après Standing Order 6. Donc, c'est lui qui décide, il est le seul, et aucun député, ni l'opposition, ni le gouvernement, pas gain droit, donc, dicter lui, une décision qu'il y prend, parce que, et non plus, nous pas capable de faire allusion au Standing Order de House of Commons, c'est-à-dire la Chambre des communes en Angleterre, parce que Maurice, c'est nous Parlement et c'est le Speaker qui est entièrement responsable du fonctionnement de l'Assemblée nationale.
Autre annonce, c'est concernant le Parliamentary Committee pour Financial Crimes Commission.
Oui, c'est le Parliamentary Committee, parce qu'avant, il y a un Parliamentary Committee de l'ICAC. Aujourd'hui, il est dissous, il n'a pas existé, avec Financial Crime Act. Donc, c'est Sabrina Tour qui est nommée, et Nathania Diol, il y a également le député Ramcharan et Ashley Itu. Concernant représentants de l'opposition dans le comité, le speaker peut dire une fois que le leader de l'opposition pour soumettre la liste des parlementaires qui pour sièger dans ce comité, à ce moment, les pour approuver.
Autant donc pour le compte-rendu de cette séance de la PNQ. Merci, Jagdish Joypal.
Merci Priscilla, et les travaux continuent, et là c'est le Premier ministre comme chaque mardi qui a la prérogative juste après pour répondre à une série de questions, et ensuite le ministre d'ailleurs, vous faire mention Priscilla, un grand nombre de questions qu'ils ont pour répondre pendant les heures qui suivent.
Merci encore, à suivre de larges extraits de cette séance de la PNQ dans le journal qui vous sera présenté par Douchila Mansé.